Jennifer Gallegos, who founded Stop Common Core in Oregon. So Achieve was one of the original developers of Common Core, and then you have David Coleman that got involved, and that's when the states chose to incentivize it with Race to the Top funding to get through. But before they did that, each individual state signed a memorandum of understanding with the federal government, with the NGA and the chief state school officers, and they actually signed that memorandum of understanding, Governor Kitzhaber did, almost a full year before the first draft of the standards were even released. So they've signed on to this for your kids without even knowing what the content was. So in addition to that, they did incentivize it by offering each state money, and Oregon got between $20 and $30 million for that. But to do that, they had to agree in the Race to the Top, part of the qualifications were that you had to advance your database system for tracking children, all the information you're going to gather on them. And ours is called Project Alder. And locally, mine is called Synergy, what they gather the information from on the child. And there's over 400 data points that they will be gathering on your children, including income levels, birth records, blood tests, psychological records. What else, Maisie? Family religion, political background, blood test records.
DNA.
Yeah, DNA is part of that. So Oregon has actually received over $65 million to help develop this database. And it's in progress right now. And as far as the cost of Common Core, there's a study out from Henry Burke, and he estimates, he's a civil engineer with a bachelor's and a master's in civil engineering, and he estimates that the total cost to Oregon will be $202 million. So if you average that and take 197 school districts, you get $1.3 million per district. And that's just initial implementation. Ongoing is $177.2 million for Oregon to maintain this academic program. Yeah, so locally for me, just to do individual impact, for me, my Oregon Trail School District is already $1.6 million in the hole. So how are they going to come up with another $1.3 million when we just passed a bond a few years ago to do a high school for $160 million? So I don't know if you are aware of your school budgets, what they are. If you're in over your head, that's something to know. As far as the standards themselves go, they must be adhered to 85%. We can add 15% of content, but that content will not be assessed. So the new assessments, Oregon has Smarter, Balanced, and there's another one, Park Assessment. Smarter, Balanced is a computer adapted test that's not completed or finished developing yet. So there's no real trial runs for us. There was a sample test given out that you could take online, and it was a little confusing.
I didn't get past the first question.
Yeah, you bet.
That was your name, right?
I didn't give my real name or anything because I don't trust it. But it was a math question. It was for very small children, and they had to manipulate images on the screen, and there is no way that a kindergartner is going to have the dexterity with the mouse to be able to do that.
Yeah, there are also timed, typed essays. And I don't know a whole lot of school children that can, text, but sit down and actually type a timed essay in front of a computer screen under a pressure. So on top of that, part of the problem for the teachers is that they're now going to make that test score relevant to teacher evaluations and pay. So that has a lot to do with union issues. And to further talk about the database, Oregon already does some data sharing with the company Wish that facilitated it. We currently share database with Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Hawaii. So student records are already being shared in that manner. Let's see. Each individual school board signed a memorandum of understanding to go along with that Race to the Top application, stating that they would implement everything to do with the Common Core, the database. They would implement their computer systems, upgrade their computer systems, and tie teacher evaluations to the students' test scores. So New York is quite a bit farther ahead in this process than we are, and 70% of New York students fail the test.
70?
70%.
Yeah.
So they're predicting the same thing for Oregon this year. And I've already had a teacher and a parent come to me and say that they're predicting this kind of failure in Oregon schools. And if kids can't pass the 11th grade state test, they can't get a regular diploma. So you can opt your child out of the test, but then you have to have another assessment prove that their skill level is there by submitting work samples or taking a different assessment that would allow them to have a regular diploma. So touching a little bit more on assessments, you said you had a kindergartner. New for this year is the kindergarten readiness assessment, which is part of the whole early learning initiative. That's another beast in itself. The kindergarten readiness assessment was implemented by Kitzhaber, which is basically our education czar, so to speak. He appointed himself the state school superintendent, and he has his little board right below him, and they control all of it. They can't be deposed, and they're not elected. So, and he's made himself in that position for 5 years. So basically, with the new early learning initiative, we have all of these state agencies that are now going to begin sharing data together. The Oregon Department of Education, the Health Authority, DHS, and your medical records. They're all going to be in line together on the system. So me as a parent, I don't approve of that, but this is where the kindergarten readiness assessment comes in. Your child will have a kindergarten readiness assessment alone with a trained test maker. And I spent some time researching this kindergarten readiness assessment because I have a kindergartner next year. You cannot see the test. You cannot be present when they take the test. You can't ask for the results. You can't see the results, and they can't talk about the test with you. This is kindergarten. We should be talking about circles, shapes, letters, and numbers, but now kindergarten has to be rigorous. And there's no more playtime. Kindergarten's not what it used to be. And along with the kindergarten readiness assessment for the academic skills, there's a behavioral assessment included in there. So all of those results go into that Synergy database system. So if your child doesn't perform well or has been rated that they have a behavioral problem, it goes into the electronic school record and it will stay with them all the way through age 20. This is a P through 20 database system.
What happens to the database after that?
Well, I'm assuming that they'll pick up tracking you in college too, because that's what they want, workforce data. School cradle to career workforce data.
And they'll point you to the career or study that you will study.
Yeah,
That
I
sounds like
believe,
China.
And
Yeah,
where they are
almost
saving
Romania.
when you get to a volunteer.
I believe ultimately they want your chosen career to be by 9th grade to direct you on a path to your career by 9th grade. So, that's not very constitutional in itself. But in Oregon, something that Oregon actually isn't followed that I researched a while ago is there is a statute in the Oregon Constitution that says that respect for the flag, respect for the Constitution, and education on freedom and the Constitution should be taught in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And there is actually a court case that someone in Malala filed in 1977 because of speakers that were coming in. A teacher had a Marxist, a communist, a bunch of different government speakers come in, and someone took offense to it and schooled the school district. And the judge said that we shouldn't fear for our children's minds or their freedoms from a Marxist agenda because Oregon teaches the Constitution in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And if you know, now I think they get it in 8th grade and maybe 11th grade. So that is what the judge said is our protection for our children's futures in knowing about freedom and respect for the flag and integrity. Those are all in that statute, and we're not teaching any of that to our children anymore.
So you're kind of suggesting that they're verging against the state constitutional grounds.
Well, they're not following that statute, that's for sure. I mean,
Do you know the
you'd have to
statute
look at
number?
each. I don't know it offhand. I was just looking at it the other day, but I can certainly send Kay an email with all of that information, and she can send it to you guys. And the case study of that court case, if anyone